Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. This video we're talking about the old Tacoma. This is the 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD Offroad, the quicksand one that's been on the channel for 7 years, I think. It's been through a lot of changes and updates. There's some stuff that's kind of stayed the same as well, and some stuff that has evolved through the years. So that's what this video is gonna be about. Sorry, it's been a long time since I made a video. It's been like 3 weeks, I think, which is the longest time between videos I think that I've had in 2 or 3 years. That's because we had our baby Cooper. So he's been keeping us kind of busy. And also on my house build, I've had my rough framing, rough electric, rough mechanical, rough plumbing inspection all this last week. So the last few weeks I've just been scrambling to try and get all that stuff done so we could get into insulation and drywall. So I've been going nonstop, but you'll meet Cooper here in a second. Ashley, I think, is feeding him right now, and then I'll have her bring him down and you can say hi to him. And I'll put chapters down below so we can you can skip around to whatever you care about. So the truck's been through a lot of evolution, but a lot of stuff's the same as well. Same CBI, aluminum front bumper, skids, sliders / steps on the side. Man, there's a lot of S in that little section. The rear bumper, this is actually new. I had the non-swing out, now I have the swing out. Diamondback covers. I started with the Prinsu rack originally and tried out a few different racks, and then we're back to the Prinsu up there. So those are all kind of the same, but then also a lot of the rest of the truck's been through a lot of different evolutions. So I think I'll start this video with kind of the new stuff. Those of you that have been following the truck probably know a lot of what's on the truck, but I'll start with the new stuff. I dropped this truck off with Twan at Running for Tacos because I've been way too busy to work on it. This was kind of I built out the V1 and V2 of this truck, and then recently I've just been having Twan's shop, Running for Tacos in Denver, work on my truck because I've just been too busy to wrench on it, but I have been wanting to add some stuff. So if you're in the Denver area and need work and you like anything about my truck, they're pretty intimately familiar with this truck at this point. So you can just call them up and be like, hey, I want the whatever that Mike has, and they should be able to hook that up. Hi, Maple. Here's Ashley with baby Cooper. What we got here? Hey, buddy. So Cooper he's what, little over 2 weeks right now? Yeah. He's on oxygen. That's kind of a recommended thing because we live at a pretty high elevation. We're almost at 9,000 feet. So to kind of transition to breathing on his own and everything, a lot of doctors recommend that. But he also kind of had a small heart issue. Well, we were tracking some stuff with him where they thought it might have been something else, and it turned out to be not that thing, and it's something else that's more minor, but kind of tracking. But anyways, he's on oxygen, if you're wondering, to kind of help transition him into breathing this low oxygen air up at our place. And he's been good, pooping, eating, sleeping. Ashley's been great. She hasn't had a whole lot of sleep because she's been actually, basically I'm a heavy sleeper. And Ashley doesn't usually wake me up when he wakes up. So yeah, but this is Cooper. You'll see more of him in some future videos and stuff, I'm sure. But for now, he's tiny, doesn't know what's going on, just kind of looking around, checking things out. But he sure is cute. And baby and mommy are healthy. He's waving to you. It's windy out. The wind always decides to pick up. I don't know if you can tell when I'm filming videos, so hopefully that doesn't come through on the mic too much. Real quick, I wanna thank the sponsor of this video, Onyx Off-Road, actually also a channel sponsor. A lot of people ask me, Mike, how do you find trails? And I've been meaning to do a how I find trails, how I plan trips video. I'm gonna do it. I promise I'm gonna do it in the next month or two. And a lot of that is with Onyx Off-Road. So Onyx Off-Road is an app you can have on your phone, but it's also mapping software you can use on your desktop computer. So if you're kind of a desktop or laptop, or I mean, they have an iPad app as well, but I'm a desktop guy or a laptop guy. So you can research trails in your area. You can find stuff. You can find kind of trail conditions, difficulty, photos, and then that same app, the same login translates over to your iPhone app or your Android app or whatever. So basically you can kind of plan stuff on your desktop. You can also plan it on your phone. But then you can save waypoints, mark trails, save coordinates, and you can actually even, there's kind of a newer feature where you can share folders. So folders of waypoints and tracking and all this stuff, and then you can share that with your buddies or your wheeling group or whatever. So it's a really good app if you have friends that also want the app, and you can basically plan, you can kind of plan trips together. Or if you have a big group of people, you're like, hey, this is the trail we're gonna do, and this is where we're gonna meet, and this is the waypoint that we're gonna try and camp, or this is where we're gonna be Friday night, and this other waypoint's where we're gonna be Saturday night. You can share all that, you can download that all offline. So it's a really powerful app. So if you haven't used it, I do have a coupon code with them. I believe it's LLOD. But you can use my code, or I actually have a link that'll redirect you to a kind of a landing page that shows more information. It's just LLOD.us/Onyx. And that app is a hugely helpful app in kind of planning trips. And you can download all the trails offline. So when you're out there with no cell service, you can still use all the features that you care about. So I use that in here. They do have Apple CarPlay integration as well. But yeah, thank you to Onyx for sponsoring this video. And the truck, so I talked about it earlier. It's a 2016 Toyota Tacoma TRD Offroad. I get a lot of people asking like, what model would you get, this or that? I know they have some different models now, but I would go for the TRD Offroad just because you get the factory rear locker. Now you could add an air locker, a different locker, and you might want to add a front locker or whatever, but this doesn't actually, I don't actually have a front locker right now, just a rear locker. And I've pulled off most of what makes this a TRD Offroad as far as suspension and everything, but I do still use the factory rear locker, and I still do like the MTS kind of trail mode stuff. I don't use like the crawl control, like the off-road cruise control. I never use that, but MTS is pretty handy. Anyway, that's the base model truck, and like I said, we're gonna get into the new stuff, the new up front. So up under here, we have new suspension. So I was on the Fox since the first lift I got. And when I got that, it was the truck was much different. It didn't have armor, didn't have bumpers, didn't have everything, had smaller tires. And this has been an update that I've been meaning to do forever. Done a lot of research on what suspension I wanted to go with since it's been so long. Was I gonna do Fox or Kings or Icons or what, there's a bunch of stuff out there. I saw a lot of stuff online, YouTube videos and forum posts about the new Dobinson. These are the MRAs. I think some people call them the MRRs, but I believe the adjustable ones are the MRAs. So I have the MRA front coilovers. So these are three-way adjustable. And then I do have the rear as well. It's a little dirty back here, but these are the long travel rears. So the front here, three-way adjustable, high speed compression, low speed compression, rebound. These are actually the most adjustable shocks on the market as far as I know, as far as they get the softest and they get the firmest of any other shock out there. And then the rebound adjustment, obviously. So you can kind of get these tuned at your off-road shop or yourself. There's a lot of forum posts on kind of how to dial these in, but a lot of that is preference. So right now, actually, I've been fooling around with the different adjustability. I'm full soft. So it is basically like driving a Cadillac down the road, and it's not necessarily the way to go for on-road control, but it is super comfortable. So I'll kind of figure out how many clicks this way or that way I want to do with this suspension. And sorry, the focus is kind of trying to figure out what it wants to go to. So I'll kind of dial that in to my own preference. And honestly, probably more often than not, I'll just go full soft off-road because I'm not racing the Baja 1000. I just want comfort. So that's kind of nice that you can play around with and fool around with, and you want to nerd out on forums and whatnot. There's a lot of people kind of talking about how they've adjusted these things on the internet. Some things that are a little bit unique here is that the preload adjustment is on the bottom here. They're really thick and burly coilovers. And what's interesting, the front and rear of these are rebuildable, but the interval is kind of indefinite. Dobinson says, and I've talked to Dobinson, they actually got this kit out to me. I asked them a bunch of questions about it, and they said that they're kind of test rig. They haven't rebuilt, and that's seen all kinds of use and abuse. So it's kind of like, it is rebuildable. I saw some confusion on there online that people thought these weren't rebuildable. They are rebuildable, but you don't necessarily need to do them. Like Kings and Fox and a lot of those adjustable ones, you're having to rebuild relatively frequently, especially if you do a lot of off-roading. And these, again, they're brand new to me, so I can't speak to the longevity personally, but from what I've heard and what I've read, they don't really need rebuilding very often. So I'll give an update more on these later as I kind of try them out on the trail and see how they are. I've flexed out on some rocks, and again, I've driven them around town, and I live on a dirt road, and the new house is on a dirt road and stuff, so I've taken them off-road, but not really, not on trails and stuff. So I'll report back later on these. And then the coils, you see the teal coils here. You can get those in teal or black or red, kind of depending on what your preference is. And then you'll get different weight ratings. So I forget off the top of my head, CR something. But basically you'll find kind of the lift height you want and the amount of weight that you have in the front, and then get a coil that's appropriate for you. An off-road shop can help out with that, or Dobinson Direct can help out with that. If I remember to, I'll put mine, I'll link to all this stuff down in the video description below. And if I remember, I'll put my specific coilover setup, but yours will probably be different there. And then the really cool thing in the rear is that these are long travel shocks. You don't need to change the mounting location. You do need to get extended brake lines because, again, there is more down travel, and they do recommend the changing out your bump stops. And I did the U-bolt flip kit as well, so I have Durabumps and then extended brake lines you can see in there, the blue ones. So I also, back here while we're at it, these are the Archive Garage hammer hangers, which I've had for a long time, and then the Deaver Stage 2 springs. But the new is the Dobinson rear adjustable. The other nice thing here is how these reservoirs are connected to the shock bodies. They're kind of this articulating mount, so it gives you a lot more mounting options to, allow you to mount it forward or backward or up or down or whatever. So that's kind of a pretty nice little feature. So these shocks, again, they are new to me. I can't speak too much about them yet, but stay tuned. I'll tell you how they're doing for me in some future videos. But that's kind of the biggest, most noticeable for me modification. I had the Foxes on there just with the 2.0s in the rear, and they were old. They needed rebuilding. They were not really spec'd for the weight of the truck now, and it just didn't handle all that great. So this is night and day difference. What else is new? I did an update video not that long ago covering some other new stuff. But back here we have the Expedition Essentials propane tank holder mount, whatever you want to call it. And I also put a Pelican Air 1507. This is the CBI dual swing out rear bumper. So it's a high clearance rear bumper with dual swing out. So I have a full size spare. This is a 35 1250 Toyo Open Country MT on the Relations race wheels. These are bead locks. So this is a full size spare, matches all my other ones here on the rear swing out. So I had this kind of naked for a while, and now I have some stuff on it. The propane tank is painted an olive green. This is actually, I've tried a lot of different spray. I like to spray paint stuff, This is the only white thing on the truck, and I was like, it kind of sticks out. I don't like it. So I just spray painted it. I've heard, I think that you don't want to paint propane bottles black though, because they'll absorb too much heat, and I don't know if they can blow up or what. I haven't really researched it that much, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to spray paint them black, because if they're just out there soaking up the sun, you live in Arizona or Texas or something, I I think that's a hazard. So I picked a nice kind of light color, and this is actually, it's called oregano is the color, if anyone cares about that. But basically this is a Flame King 11 pounds. Sometimes they're called 10 pound, kind of the half size of your standard 20 pound. And it's kind of the propane tank I've been using for a long time, just tucked in the bed of my truck, and now I have a good place to put it. So yeah, your standard kind of 10 or 11 pound propane tank. They actually have an adapter that fits a 5 pound as well if you like those smaller ones. But this is kind of my jam. It's a good balance of, still has a lot of capacity in there for cooking or fire pits or whatever, but kind of a smaller, thinner footprint. Latches in, and then this thing kind of secures it down as well. So kind of a 2-latch mechanism in there. And I think it's just the best looking of all the propane mounts out there. And then the Pelican Air. So I had a lot of recovery gear and air up and air down gear that I kind of had under my back seat. Like I have the dogs back here sometimes, and I would have to dig around for that when I want to air down and air up, or if somebody needs a little tug out, I have to dig under my seat to get my recovery strap out, and it wasn't easily accessible. So that is all now in this Pelican Air case. I'll kind of show you a little bit in here. Maybe I'll break down everything I have in there in the future. But anyway, now we got that easily accessible. I don't have this locked, but you can lock them, obviously. And it's just a perfect little size that kind of squeezes right in there, mounted on this left swing out. I mounted it kind of the height of the spare tire, so I don't think I'll tag that. Like if I go on some crazy departure, like maybe I would hit it, but it's kind of hard to tell. It's tucked up pretty good, but we'll see how that does. And then the full-size spare like I talked about earlier. So the dual swing out CBIs, this opens out to latch in there. This opens out to latch in there. If you want to open it further, just pull up on this, and then you can open it out further. So, and then we got the tables. Actually, we installed this real quick at an Overland Expo, and I didn't have the proper tools, so I didn't crimp these down very good, and this thing fell off, but it's still doing all right with just the one there. And then we have another table over here, and these actually sit right above the tailgate, so if you wanted to bring these back in, you could, or if you want to swing them out, you can, but you basically have all this workspace now with the dual swing outs, which is pretty nice. And then I have the propane tank right here, so I can pull that out, use my propane stove or propane heater or anything. And I basically kind of had that ghetto rigged in the back for a while. So we got that out. Both of these things are going to be super handy, easy to access, pull out if I need to get a refill or whatever on that propane. So I've also made some new modifications back here inside of the bed under the Diamondback. This is actually Twan wired this up. I had this idea that I wanted to add some power back here. So now I have 2 USBs, cigarette lighter, and basically a voltmeter. This can turn on and off back here, so I can see what my battery's at, and then I can plug things in, whether it's lights or speakers or whatever, or a refrigerator to plug into the cigarette lighter. I can do that now straight from the bed of the truck. So that was I thought it was a clever little modification. I haven't really seen many people doing that. Not that that really matters, but there's tons of space back here. There's like a wasted void back here. So I figured let's just tuck that up in there. Other than that, camping bin, miscellaneous stuff, chairs, got my axe and my shovel kind of strapped up there. I might want to add like a side molly panel or something to mount that stuff a little better, just because it's kind of jerry-rig mounted up in there for now. And that's about it. I got a little spot for Rotopacks up there and some other stuff, but pretty basic bed of the truck, and that's all I really need. I have some tie-down straps and whatnot in the back here, but yeah. So with all this stuff on the back, you can see the rear camera isn't really as functional anymore. It kind of peeks out there, but it's not, obviously most of it is obstructed. So I had Twan do a camera relocate for me. So now I have a reverse camera that sees everything that I need to see. So that's super duper handy now. And then I also added a rear air chuck. I didn't communicate with them enough. I said to throw it back here. I think they thought I meant to throw it here. I don't tow much with this truck. This thing, I swapped rear bumpers, pulled this out of my old bumper. I actually set it on top of here, forgot about it, drove off, remembered it, actually found it on the highway, but it was crushed to a million pieces. So I didn't put that in the new bumper when I put it in. I've since got a new one to put in here, but I didn't have it in here. Anyway, rear air chuck, I'm gonna relocate this probably to like here or something because I am planning to put this back in. But now I have a rear air port, and that's nice because my Indiflate that I used an extension to air up the front and the back. So now I don't need the extension. I'll just hook that up here, air up the 2 back tires. I don't like the 4. They sell 2 and 4 tire kits. The 4 tire kit is just too much. There's just too many cables. I have a 4 tire kit. I don't like it. So I prefer the 2 tire kit. So anyway, now I have an area to plug in right in the back, and then I have another chuck under the hood. So I'll show you that in a second. So these are just kind of some little modifications that I've added that are super handy. So rear camera relocate, rear air chuck there. And now the back end of this is super functional and kind of has all the stuff that I use pretty regularly. And then some other stuff they added to the front was a Group 31 battery. This looks like an Odyssey Extreme, I guess, is in there. Group 31, so a bigger battery. I don't have a dual battery in this thing, just one big battery. This battery is charged obviously by the alternator. It's also hooked up to the Cascadia vehicle's 4x4 hood solar panel to kind of keep it topped off. I use my rock lights and side camp lights, and again, sometimes plug things into charge or have a fridge plugged in. So I kind of am draining my battery a little bit through the night, and then I'm camping, and if I'm parked somewhere sunny, then the solar panel will automatically start recharging the battery in the morning. So I really like that setup. I do have this EMP shield thing on the battery as well. Whether that's like a big controversy thing, whether that actually does anything, I don't know. According to the testing and everything, yeah, it does. According to the internet electrical engineers, it doesn't do anything. But I have it on there just as a little bit of added insurance. That, for those that don't know, have any idea what I'm talking about, this is something that theoretically protects your electrical system in your vehicle from an EMP or a coronal mass ejection, a solar flare. And what people on the internet tell me is, that'll never work. Oh, you need a carburetor, you need a pre-1960 vehicle. But what they don't know is that the EMP Commission says that most modern vehicles are actually shielded enough. Most modern electronics in vehicles are shielded against electromagnetic interference. So their study said like quite a bit, like 70% of cars or something would actually be functional after an EMP even without that. So anyway, this is just a little extra added measure that I have on a few of my rigs. I'll put, I got actually a $50 off coupon code with them if you're interested. But this is running for tacos kind of terminal wiring setup that they have. I don't actually know what it's called or anything, but I'll link to all this stuff down in the video description below. I also have LLOD.us/taco is kind of where I try to keep all the updates for the Tacoma in one place. That's over here to a fuse panel, Blue Sea system, if I want to add any other normal items. And then I have a Switch Pro as well that's in the back. This is the Switch Pro adapter. So the Switch Pro I have inside here, and that's where I control a lot of my lights and accessories. This is a Running for Tacos dash, kind of like integrated dash mount that they have. And then this isn't new, but I do have the hood strut. This is actually the single strut because I have too much stuff going on with the air compressor over there. So it's a single strut that lifts the hood, and that works great. So this setup really dialed over here. I like that a lot. And then over on the other side, I have the TRD Offroad intake that I've always had forever, and ARB twin with a little 1 pound tank or 1 gallon tank underneath it. So that I can run air tools if I need to, though I don't even have any air tools. I just use all battery stuff or, you know, hand tools. This the original one broke on me. It's kind of nice because there's some redundancy built into the twin. I had a twin and only one side was working. I pulled it apart, debugged everything that I could to figure out what was wrong with it and try and fix it. I don't know. So I just put a new one in. I'm gonna send my old one in for repair and have that old one, probably I'll put it in the Tundra eventually. So now I have fast air again with a little tank, and then the front air chuck I was talking about is right here. And then I have my Warren winch controls mounted in the grill there. Actually, if I were to do it all, like if I were to start from scratch, they have a front mounted kit here. So people mount stuff in front of the grills on Tacomas all the time. I've never heard of an overheating issue or anything in the radiator. I've had this Warren winch control mounted in here since I had my Warren winch for 6 years. I've never had any overheating issues, even running 35s. I do have 529s as well. If anyone's ever wondering, I've had those for a long time as well, but I've never had any overheating issues, even, you know, running through the passes on Highway 70 and stuff through the mountains. So all that to say, there is another kit that mounts the twin compressor up in the front, which I think is a better system than mounting it back there. Here I do have the air tank, which is pretty sweet, but up here it's cooled from the air, so it's not hot. A lot of times when I go to air up, that thing is already hot from being in the engine bay. If you have it mounted up here, it's kind of nice because it's not as hot. But anyway, that's what I got going on under the hood. I think that's it. I had some old Amazon special rock light under here, or like hood light that has burnt out in the first 6 months, and I need to replace that with a Cyclone. And then I have this, which is just like a battery tender charger. This is a little NOCO setup, so that's wired to my battery so that I can just charge this. This isn't my daily driver anymore, and sometimes I go a long time without driving it, so I can hook a battery charger up and kind of keep that on a battery tender. I have all the Raptor lights. So usually you see a 3 or 4 kit, but when I was doing this, I was like, let's just put them in every hole because it's kind of a continuation of that. And I don't know, I thought it looked sweet. I didn't like Raptor lights on Tacomas for a long time, and I finally was just like, I'll just do it. And I am a huge fan of all of these lights in there. These are the Morimoto triple projector amber sequentials, beautiful headlights. We've got the KC fogs, the old KC Cyclone light bar, Factor 55 Ultra Hook. Do have the front camera down there as well. Flexera 3 ditch lights, and then a full top kind of custom Flexera 3 setup up top there. Mentioned it earlier, but we have the Toyo Open Country MT 35-inch tires. Man, I love these tires. They balance so well too. I think 3 of the 5 tires that I had were just balanced with no weight at all. Now they're not as good as like a Toyo AT3 for road driving. So if you're primarily driving this on the road, I wouldn't recommend the MT. But this is kind of a dedicated trail rig for me now, and this is my favorite MT tire. We do have the running for tacos control arm skids. I don't really care about control arm skids. It was at the shop and he was like, you want them? And I was like, sure, toss them on. And I think because we were going to put it at a Overland Expo or something, but I full disclosure, I would save your money on on lower control arm skids. I don't think they're really necessary. Unless you're just bashing stuff, then okay, you can toss them on. I have CBI full aluminum skids. I did do the exhaust reroute underneath, so my skids underneath are flat. They don't have that little drop down for the exhaust because I rerouted the exhaust to stay up high. Maybe we'll just breeze through the inside real quick. I forgot I adjusted my exposure high. So I just have some stuff over here, gloves, headlamp, pepper spray. This is my favorite knife. I need to do a fixed blade knife video. I forgot. This is the quick preview, Lionheart M4. This has M390 steel, like a super steel, and it's just so comfortable in the hand. But I like to keep a fixed blade in my car, mostly just for camping duties. Inside, we got this. I have the rock lights, KC Cyclones. I have them all around, so underneath here, that kind of shines out. And I really like rock lights, honestly, for camp lights. We got the standard ones in the wheel well, which I think is one of the dumber placements for rock lights, honestly. It's kind of the standard placement, but I think they're dumb. If you only had 4, I wouldn't put them under there. I think I have a lot of them, so I have them under there, but I think there is a great spot, kind of a dumb spot, whatever. Here is a great spot. And then around back, I have one right under there. So those are wired up. Running for Tacos sells a little kit here that basically you can control your rock lights with your door. So when you unlock them, or you can just turn them on, or you can turn them off. So I have them just kind of controlled by my door. So when I close the door, they stay on for a little bit and then turn off. I'm not gonna do full interior stuff here, but we have the High 10 from Stinger Off-Road. This is an excellent upgrade. It's quite pricey, but an excellent upgrade. I like it a lot. Man, the refresh rate makes it look like my LEDs are doing crazy stuff, but they're not. But this is a CarPlay. I don't even know if it has Android Auto, but CarPlay unit, 10-inch screen, excellent. Highly recommend this upgrade to kind of modernize. Mine was a 2016. It didn't have CarPlay at all, so I really wanted CarPlay. 67 design mount up here. It is wired CarPlay. You can do a mod to make it wireless CarPlay, but usually I'm on a trail or whatever using GPS, so I'll just plug it in anyway. So that is hooked into the USB down there. I have my ham radio set up. We actually did this. I forget what they're called or who makes them, honestly, but a cup holder upgrade. You swap this out, you put this one in, and now you can fit an Nalgene or a Hydro Flask or whatever right up here. So that's a pretty sweet little upgrade you can do. Before we got an air freshener here. Before I was putting my Nalgene in this adapter that I had back here, and now I put it up there. Still really liking the Miso map light upgrade. These are switchable between white or red, like I have red in the back. And then I'm not really gonna get into stuff. I have fire extinguisher tool bag behind here with some other emergency repair stuff, bunch of miscellaneous stuff under the seat. I did do a 2/3 rear seat delete, so I made a little flat bed for my dogs. And I do have this thing back here, but I still haven't even put anything on it. Life has been kind of crazy. Then what else? Got the Diamondback cover, HD. These are actually another set of Cascadia, another Cascadia panel back here that I haven't wired into anything. So this is kind of, I don't know what I'm gonna use this for yet. They make a special one that mounts up on top of the iCamper, SkyCamp and the SkyCamp Mini. SkyCamp Mini 3.0 is what I have up there. These are Max Tracks. A lot of people ask how you mount these. This is actually a little mount that Runner for Tacos does sell that works with the front runner load bars so that you can mount your Max Tracks on the side. Here we got this Talon Sai. That's not even his logo anymore. That's been on my gas cap forever. CBI rear bumper, which we've already talked about. This is a set of Morimoto tail lights, sequential, very cool tail lights. This was a custom one that Miso did up for me. I don't know if you can tell, but it's camo on the inside there with my little logo etched. So that's a pretty sweet little custom tail light set with pretty nice and bright reverse lights. All right, I'm sure there's more, but we'll just wrap it up there because it's getting cold out now. LLOD.us/taco. I haven't added actually my newest stuff to that link yet, but I think I will. I'll try to do it by the time I upload this video. But if not, if you're ever wondering what Mike uses for whatever, that's kind of the page on my website. I try to keep constantly updated. And this is it. This is the great setup. I took the cargo, so these are the cargo mounts that just kind of stay on for the Pelican cargo cases. I took these off because I was gonna go to a drive-through car. I was like, I gotta wash this thing. I'm known for never washing my trucks, especially in the winter because my hose is frozen and it's too cold to wash a car out here. But occasionally I'll go through a drive-through car wash with the thing on. It's too tall for the one I go through. And I haven't been in a while. I'll have to see if I can. I've gone through with everything except for the rear swing out. So I'll have to see if I can still go through with that. But anyway, that's off because I was gonna wash it because it needs it. It needs it. At the new house, I'm gonna have a better washing system set up with hot water and stuff. So I'll have the hose in the garage with hot water and it won't freeze, and maybe I'll be able to wash my cars more. Sweet. Well, thanks for watching. As always, the color balance gets all crazy at the end of videos because I film around sunset and the colors are always shifting. So I'm like very green. I'm very green right now. All right, I'm sleep deprived as well. So wish me luck. Thank you for watching. As always, I promise I'll get some more adventure in soon. We're in the kind of final home stretch on the house build. Just had a baby, so life kind of crazy right now. But by this spring, hopefully we're back in just like full adventure mode because I miss it. Ashley misses it. We'll get back to it. Sweet. All right, guys. Well, until next time, take care.